They say grief hits in waves. But for me, it came like a missing sound. A silence where something should have been. A ring. A message. His voice. Once. But there was nothing. Only a voicemail I never received. Because they never gave him my number. It started with a letter. No return address. Just my name, written in slanted cursive I hadn't seen in over a year. Inside, a funeral notice. We regret to inform you. His name, Grandpa Theo, in bold, like he'd become an event instead of a person. I stared at the paper for what felt like an hour. I checked the date again. The funeral was yesterday. Not next week. Not tomorrow. They didn't even give me the chance to stand in the back of the church. They made sure I wasn't there to say goodbye. I drove for 6 hours without music. Just the hum of the tires and the ache behind my ribs. Every mile a question. Why now? Why like this? Why did no one tell me? But deep down, I already knew. It was them. The family who always called me the difficult one. The one who never followed the script. The one who got straight A's but didn't smile pretty for the family photos. Elena, the backup child. When I pulled up to the house, nothing had changed. Same chipped bird feeder. Same rust-colored mailbox with the dent from Dad's clumsy hammer. The porch light still flickered, like it was nervous to speak. Grandma opened the door before I could knock. Her face was tight. Composed. Not tear-streaked. Not warm. Just closed. You came late, she said. I held up the letter. This came after the service. She blinked. Not confusion. Strategy. We thought you weren't coming, she said. I stepped inside. The air smelled like mint tea and mothballs. And something else. Grief that had nowhere to go. On the hallway table, framed photos lined up like soldiers. Vanessa, Vanessa, Vanessa. My sister in white dresses. In graduation robes. In front of a piano she never played well. No pictures of me. Not one. The silence stretched like rubber, threatening to snap. I swallowed hard. Why didn't anyone call me? Grandma turned. We did, she said too quickly. My heart stuttered. I waited for your voice, she added. Your grandfather called and called. He thought you were ignoring him. The words hit like wind through a cracked window. He thought I ignored him. My hands trembled. What number did you give him? She blinked. Walked to the kitchen counter, opened a drawer with shaking fingers. Pulled out a torn page from a yellow legal pad. A number scribbled in fading ink. I stared at it. Not mine. Not even close. An area code I didn't recognize. This isn't my number, I whispered. She frowned. Your mother gave it to me. Said it was your new one. And there it was. The fracture beneath the foundation. My mother. I remembered the last time I saw her. 18 months ago. Thanksgiving. I had told her I was switching majors, from marketing to engineering. Her smile had vanished so fast it felt like a pulled curtain. You're not built for that, she'd said. It's too rigid. Too male. You'll burn out. I'd laughed it off. She hadn't. I wasn't allowed to be brilliant and inconvenient. And the next month, the calls stopped. One by one, the messages slowed. Grandma, Grandpa, even Vanessa. Like someone turned off the light in every room. I sat down at the kitchen table. It still had the scratch from the time I spilled nail polish at 16. Grandma poured tea. The mugs didn't match. They never had. She sat across from me, suddenly smaller than I remembered. He left messages, she said. Voicemails. He kept saying you weren't calling back. My throat burned. He thought I abandoned him. He died thinking I didn't care. I pulled out my phone. Searched every app, every number, every trace. Nothing. No missed calls. No voicemail. No texts. No proof. Just the wrong number. The wrong version of me. He wanted you here, Grandma said quietly. Then added almost to herself, he kept saying, Elena's not like them. I blinked. Like who? But she didn't answer. Just sipped her tea and looked out the window like she was trying to find his shadow on the lawn. Later, I sat in his old chair by the fireplace. The leather was cracked. Still smelled like tobacco and aftershave. On the side table, a book with a folded napkin as a bookmark. Inside the napkin, a note in his handwriting. When Elena finds this, tell her to check the workshop. My chest caved in. He knew. He knew something was wrong. He left a message no one else knew how to find. I stood up, legs shaking, and walked to the back of the house. Past the porch. Past the birdbath. To the workshop no one else ever entered. I turned the knob. The door groaned open. The light flickered on after a long pause. The room was filled with dust, unfinished projects, and a wooden box on the workbench with my name on it. Elena. I opened it with both hands. Inside, a photo of me and Grandpa from when I was 8, me holding a science trophy. Him smiling like I'd built the moon. A stack of letters. Unopened. All addressed to me. And a sealed envelope. On the front. In case they ever try to rewrite the truth. I couldn't breathe. Because in that moment, I knew. He knew what they were doing. And he chose to protect me. Even after death. I arrived at the church at 1 o'clock. The pews were empty. The flowers were wilting. And the priest was already gone. They'd buried him without me. On purpose. My grandfather's funeral had taken place 4 hours earlier. And I was still catching my breath when the custodian, broom in hand, tilted his head and asked, "Are you family?" I nodded. He gestured toward the front pew. "They left that for you." It was a single white rose. Fresh. Its petals curved toward the sky like it was still trying to bloom for someone who hadn't shown up. I sat beside it. And I swear, for a moment, the room didn't feel empty. It felt like a test. Back at the house, I stormed through the front door like the wind had followed me in. Grandma turned slowly, tea in hand, like she'd been expecting the storm. "They said you wouldn't come," she said. "They lied to you," I snapped. She nodded. Not defensive. Just tired. The funeral time. The call. The number. The silence. "It wasn't me," I said. "I would have moved heaven to be there." Her fingers trembled slightly as she set the mug down. "Your mother told me you changed your number. That you didn't want to be contacted. That you were angry." I laughed, bitter and sharp. Angry? No. Invisible? Yes. She blinked. And then she said something I didn't expect. "I think they were afraid of what you'd become." I stood in the kitchen while she walked into the den. When she came back, she held an old photo album, dust-covered and cracked at the spine. She opened it to a page with 2 photos, one of Vanessa, dressed in a pearl-white piano recital gown, and one of me at 11, holding a homemade volcano, face half cut out of the frame. I traced the corner. "He used to call me Little Tectonic." Grandma smiled softly. "Because you were always shifting something." "I didn't want the spotlight," I said. "Just the truth." She closed the album. "You need to talk to them." I raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because your grandfather wanted it that way. And because before he passed, he rewrote the will. An hour later, the family arrived. Not for me. For the lawyer. They walked in like owners. Like the grief belonged to them. Like their absence had never hurt anyone. My parents didn't hug me. Vanessa didn't make eye contact. Her dress was black and flawless. Not a hair out of place. I wore jeans. A sweater he gave me. There was still sawdust on my sleeve from the workshop. I didn't care. The lawyer, a thin man with wire glasses, sat at the dining table and cleared his throat. He opened a folder labeled T. Wallace, Estate. The air grew thick. And I realized. They expected him to leave them everything. "Per Mr. Wallace's wishes," the lawyer began, The following allocations are to be made. The house, he said, glancing at Grandma, is to remain in your name. She nodded. No reaction. The personal savings and investment accounts will be divided evenly between his granddaughters. Vanessa blinked. Then smiled. Of course she did. The workshop, its assets, and full intellectual property from Mr. Wallace's designs. The room stilled. Go to Elena. Vanessa's smile cracked. What? The lawyer continued. Additionally, a trust account of $400,000 is to be released in Elena's name to fund her continued education and research. My mother spoke then. That can't be right. My father nodded. She's not even in the field professionally yet. The lawyer looked up, deadpan. Mr. Wallace said she would be. Then he reached for a final envelope. Unsealed. He requested this letter be read aloud. The room shifted. Vanessa folded her arms. My mother looked away. My father exhaled like he was bracing for something heavy. The lawyer unfolded the paper. And Grandpa's voice, through words, filled the space. To the family I leave behind, some of you will question these choices. Others will pretend not to. But the truth is simple. I gave what I had to those who saw me, and those I saw clearly. Vanessa, you have always received what you wanted. And you'll likely continue to. But Elena? Elena never asked for anything. She only asked to be allowed to be. I saw the fire in her. Not because she shouted it, but because she lit everything around her quietly. To those who tried to keep her small, know this, she was never yours to erase. Elena, my girl, build the world you dreamed of. Even if they never clap for you. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. Vanessa stood first. Her voice was tight. So we just pretend she earned all this. Grandma looked up then. She didn't pretend. She proved it. My father opened his mouth, but Grandma cut him off. I loved Theo for 60 years. And in all that time, he never made a mistake bigger than trusting this family to treat Elena with kindness. She looked at me. And for the first time in my life, her voice cracked. I'm sorry I didn't fight sooner. I swallowed the lump in my throat. And nodded. It's okay. I can take it from here. They left not long after. No hugs. No reconciliation. Just the sound of a door closing behind people who chose not to know me. Grandma stayed. She brewed tea. We didn't speak much. But when I looked at her hands, shaking as she poured, I knew she was still holding something. Not guilt. Grief. Because now she finally knew what they took from me. And what he left behind to give me back. I wasn't invited. I was summoned. By a silence too heavy to ignore. The kind of silence that fills a house after the will is read. The kind that seeps into wood, into photos, into people who suddenly realize the story they wrote for someone else has been overwritten. I sat in the same living room where they used to play cards every Friday night. The same couch Grandpa napped on with a crossword resting on his chest. The same mantel where he displayed our photos like medals. They were gone now. Replaced with porcelain birds and neutral candles. Neutral. A word that had always haunted me in this house. Neutral clothes. Neutral hair. Neutral behavior. Don't stand out, Elena. Don't stand up too much. But here I was, sitting upright, their expectations no longer binding me. Vanessa paced like a CEO denied a board seat. My mother stood in the corner, arms folded so tightly she could have folded herself in half. My father just kept staring at the lawyer like he could rewrite the paperwork with sheer willpower. Grandma didn't move. She sat beside me. Not on their side. Mine. Let's be clear, Vanessa said, voice slicing through the quiet. This isn't about money. Everyone in the room knew it was. This is about fairness. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. Wallace's will was reviewed and verified twice. It's legally sound. But morally suspect. My mother spat. She turned to me. Your grandfather was old. He wasn't thinking clearly. He was sick. My jaw tightened. He was clear enough to leave a paper trail. The room shifted. He left me everything you tried to keep from me. She flinched. My father stepped forward, like he was going to deliver one of his long, measured lectures. Instead, Grandma stood. Slowly. With purpose. Stop pretending this is a shock. Everyone froze. She hadn't raised her voice in decades. But now. Her words had gravity. You made sure she didn't get his calls. You lied about the funeral. You gave away her place at his side. She turned to my mother. He called her every week. She never answered. We blamed her. But she never even knew. Her voice cracked. We did that to her. Vanessa scoffed. I'm the one who stayed. Who took care of things. Who represented this family in public. She walked toward me, slow and sharp. And you hid in school. Always with your little machines and wires. Grandpa just felt sorry for you. My throat burned. But my hands didn't shake. I stood. Quietly. He didn't pity me. He protected me. I stepped to the side table and pulled open the drawer. I took out the small wooden box I'd found in the workshop. Laid it on the coffee table between us. Vanessa stared. Confused. I opened the lid. Inside. Letters. Sketches. Blueprints. A patent application with both our names on it. His and mine. He'd been building something with me. Not for show. Not for legacy. For impact. I pulled out one letter. Handwritten. Folded 3 times. I read it aloud. Elena, if you're reading this, then I'm already gone. But I need you to know, they never saw you. Not like I did. Not like you are. They'll tell you that your voice is too sharp. That your ideas are too big. That your success is too loud. And when you shrink to fit them, they'll call you mature. Don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't let them forget you were always here. Watching. Learning. Ready to build the future while they clung to the past. I looked up. No one spoke. My mother sat down. Vanessa stared at the box like it betrayed her. My father opened his mouth, but closed it again. And Grandma? She was crying. Not loud. Not messy. Just soft tears down weathered cheeks. Because now, the truth was undeniable. I sat again. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was proving something. I was simply witnessing what happens when truth doesn't ask for permission. Eventually, the room cleared. My parents left first. No goodbye. Vanessa last. Heels clacking too fast, mouth pressed into a line. She didn't take anything with her. Not even the photo of her on the mantel. And that silence. It finally felt like peace. Grandma sat beside me. Her hands found mine. He built this for you, she whispered. I shook my head. No, I said. He built it with me. And now it was mine to carry. Not for revenge. Not to be right. But to finish the blueprint he started. They raised one daughter. And tolerated the other. That was the rhythm of our house. Vanessa was the melody. Loud. Polished. Expected. I was the silence between the notes. Not resented. Just rearranged until I barely fit the frame. I found the photos in the attic. A dusty box labeled Summer '05. In it, birthday parties I half remembered. Vacations I wasn't invited to. Piano recitals I was forced to clap through. Pictures of Vanessa smiling wide. And me, blurred in the background. Holding a book. Or a plate. Or nothing. In one, we were 5 and 7. She wore a tiara. I wore ketchup stains. Her arm curled possessively around a toy I remember asking for that morning. But what made my breath catch was Grandpa. In every picture where I was out of focus, his eyes were still looking at me. They tried to call it even. They said, you're both loved, just differently. But different meant disposable. Different meant silence as default. In high school, I built a solar-powered water pump for a science fair. Won regionals. Came home with a medal and a certificate. Mom barely looked up from her laptop. Vanessa just got cast as the lead in her play, she said. Dad added, now that's worth celebrating. I nodded. Said nothing. And taped my medal inside a drawer where no one else could see it. Grandpa was the only one who noticed. He brought me to the workshop that night. Handed me a notebook, leather-bound, corners frayed from use. Blueprints, he said, smiling. For whatever comes next. I still have it. Page 1 reads, she doesn't take up space, she creates it. I used to wish I could be more like Vanessa. Less friction. Less thinking. Just easier. But every time I tried, something in me recoiled. Like I was erasing myself to win applause from a room that never looked up. After the will, after the letter, after the storm, I sat in the workshop, alone, tracing the blueprint lines he left behind. Each one a whisper from the man who saw the version of me the world tried to suppress. I remembered being 16, sitting in the back seat after Vanessa's homecoming win, listening to my mom say, Elena's always been more of a thinker. Not built for the spotlight. Like that was something I should be grateful for. Like disappearing was a virtue. The thing about shadows is this. They exist only because light is being blocked. And for most of my life, that light was shaped by expectations I never consented to. Look pretty. Stay quiet. Be useful. Don't be difficult. Don't be brilliant. But brilliance isn't loud. It's quiet. Like a lab after midnight. Like a soldering iron cooling in a dish. And I wasn't built for ballrooms or banquets. I was built for building. I held the letter again that night. The one where Grandpa said, you are not a mistake. You are a miracle they never deserved. I wept. Not because it hurt anymore. But because it didn't. Not like it used to. The next morning, I packed the photos away. Not to forget. To remember, on my terms. I kept one. Me and Grandpa. Faded from sunlight. His arm around my shoulder. Me holding a screwdriver and grinning with no idea what was coming. On the back, in his handwriting. Let them underestimate you. That's how you win. Later that day, I went to the shed. Unearthed my old science kits. The microscope they laughed at. The notebook full of failed prototypes. Every failure was fuel. And now, I wasn't the girl in the shadow anymore. I was the light they tried to cover. That evening, Grandma joined me in the workshop. She didn't say much. Just brought tea. Watched me reconnect wires. Clean metal. Adjust circuits. Then softly, you always looked happiest here. I nodded. Because here I could be me. She sipped her tea and looked at the framed photo on the bench. He saw it early. Said you were the future. I smiled. Then let's build it. You don't have to scream to matter. You don't have to shine the loudest to be seen. You just have to keep showing up. Even when they forget to invite you. Especially then. They told me family means sacrifice. What they meant was mine. Give up the seat. Shrink for the photo. Hold the silence while someone else takes credit. But grief has a way of sharpening memory. And mine was cutting back. The day after the will, Vanessa came back. Not for reconciliation. For control. She stood on the porch in head-to-toe black. Like grief was a costume she still hadn't taken off. Grandma answered the door. I stood behind her, silent. Vanessa didn't even blink. I need to speak to Elena. Grandma didn't move. You can speak here, she said. Vanessa sighed, exasperated. Like she was doing me a favor. I've been thinking, she said, stepping inside like she still owned the air. This money, the lab, it's a mistake. Emotional decisions made during illness. My stomach turned. She looked at me then. Not at my eyes. At my clothes. My shoes. My hands, still stained with graphite from blueprint sketches. You're not built for legacy, she said softly, like a lullaby. You're built for little projects. Passion things. The kind that don't last. I could have said 1,000 things. I said one, I lasted. And that's what scares you. She didn't expect that. Her face cracked. Just a flicker. Then she recovered. Stepped closer. We can fix this, she said. Just transfer the trust. Give up the lab. The house stays with Grandma. We go back to normal. Normal. Normal was them forgetting my birthday. Normal was being uninvited to my own graduation dinner. Normal was silence. And I wasn't interested in normal anymore. Grandma stepped forward. No. Vanessa blinked. Excuse me. Grandma's voice didn't rise. You will not take anything else from her. Not this time. Vanessa looked between us. He manipulated you, she spat. He made you think she was something she's not. Grandma didn't flinch. He saw what you refused to. My mother and father arrived shortly after. Called by Vanessa, no doubt. They entered quietly. My father cleared his throat, like we were in a courtroom. This tension doesn't help anyone. I turned. No tension. Just truth, he gestured toward the will. The letter. The lab key still on the table. You can't build a future on charity, Elena. You need a structure. Real support. I laughed. You mean your support? He didn't respond. So I gave him the facts. Grandpa and Grandma funded my education. Not you. They paid my tuition. My rent. Bought me the equipment I needed to start. Every scholarship application you said I'd never land. He edited them. Every time you told me to switch to marketing, to stay employable, he told me to keep going. My mother looked away. You were too fragile, she whispered. I stepped forward. No, I was inconvenient. And finally, you were embarrassed that your backup daughter had bigger dreams than your golden one. Vanessa stepped forward again. Her voice like broken glass now. He was wrong to give it to you. I met her gaze. He gave it to me because I won't waste it proving I deserve it. And then, Grandma raised her hand. Quiet. Deliberate. Enough. The room froze. He gave you every opportunity, she said to Vanessa. And you used them to compete with your sister. She turned to my parents. He gave you a home. A future. And you used it to sculpt daughters into trophies. Then back to me. And he gave her the last of his strength. Not to reward her, but to protect her. She picked up the lab key from the table. Pressed it into my hand. He wanted you to build. Now you can. Vanessa scoffed, stormed out without another word. My parents followed. The door closed behind them like a chapter ending itself. That night, Grandma and I sat in the kitchen. Same tea. Same chairs. But nothing was the same. She looked at me across the table and said, You don't owe them anything. And I believed her. For the first time, I really did. I walked through the lab that night alone. The keys clicked in the lock like a door long overdue. Dust still clung to surfaces. Blueprints curled at the edges. Unfinished projects like paused sentences. I picked one up. A small wind-powered generator. One I'd started when I was 15. He had helped me draw the circuitry. I never finished it. Until now. I sat at the bench, rolled up my sleeves, and began again. Not out of spite. Out of inheritance. Not of money. Of belief. Some goodbyes are loud. Some come in slammed doors and shouted names. But the most powerful ones are the quiet steps we take forward. After they finally let go, they erased me from the photos. He built me a place they couldn't touch. That was the trade. And I didn't ask for it. But now I carry it. Not as a burden. As a blueprint. 6 years later, the lab has a new name now. The Wallace Center for Independent Engineering. It's not shiny. Not viral. Not backed by tech giants or legacy investors. But inside its walls, there's life. Real work. Real problems being solved by people who were once told they didn't belong in rooms like this. Mira, who designs water filtration systems for rural schools. Toby, who dropped out twice and now teaches circuitry to veterans. And Liv, 17 years old, who just built a solar-powered charger out of a cereal box and wire scraps. This isn't a family business. It's a refuge. For the misfit minds that don't know how to ask for permission. A journalist visited last month, wanted to write a feature on unexpected innovators. She asked, "Why here?" I smiled. "Because no one can be erased here." On the 6th anniversary of his death, I opened the last letter he ever wrote me. I had saved it. Waited until the work no longer needed to prove anything to open it. The envelope was thin. The ink faded. But his voice was still loud on the page. "Elena, if you're reading this, it means you did it. And even if you didn't, I want you to know something important. They tried to tell me you were a phase. A quiet disappointment. But every time you sat across from me and told me about a problem you wanted to solve, not for applause, but because it mattered, I saw it. You're not just brilliant. You're good. And someday that will scare the wrong people. Let it. Scare them. Then build anyway. Always build. Love you, Grandpa." That letter lives on the wall now. Framed in a crooked wooden frame we made together from scrap pine when I was 13. Beneath it, a small plaque. "My little scientist will change the world someday." The world hasn't changed much. Vanessa went on to write a memoir. Did the talk show rounds. A few people still ask if I'm related to the one on TV. I smile. And say, no, she's related to me. My parents haven't visited the lab. But sometimes they send cards. The kind that say, "Hope you're well," but never ask how. I don't reply. Not out of spite. Just, peace. Some people belong in your origin story. Not your current chapter. Grandma passed last winter. Peacefully. In the house he built. We held the service in the backyard, under the big oak tree. I read from her favorite book. And when everyone had gone home, I sat in her chair and whispered, "I'm still building." A few months ago, I was invited to speak at a conference. Women in Engineering. I almost said no. Then I remembered 15-year-old me. Sitting on a bus with a notebook full of ideas and a stomach full of doubt. I wore navy blue. Not because it looked powerful. Because it made me feel like me. I walked onto the stage and told the truth. About the funeral I missed. The house that forgot me. The workshop that saved me. And the man who handed me blueprints when everyone else handed me silence. The applause was soft. The kind that means someone's going to cry in their car later, because they didn't know they needed to hear it. When I got back home that night, there was a package on my doorstep. No return label. Inside, a book. The same one Grandpa read every morning with his tea. Tucked between the pages, a photo. Me and him. Me, 10 years old. Goggles too big for my head. Wires tangled in my lap. His arm around my shoulder, beaming like I'd just invented flight. On the back, written in his familiar scrawl, "My little scientist." I sat in the lab for hours that night. Lights off, just the quiet hum of machines. Thinking about how far I'd come. How close I'd always been. How hard they tried to keep me from this life. And how deeply he believed I'd get here anyway. This wasn't revenge. It was resurrection. Of the girl they tried to delete. The one who refused to shrink. The one who learned to build when the doors wouldn't open. The one who stayed when no one clapped. Now, they call me founder, engineer, director. But some titles matter more than others. And the one I wear closest to my chest? The one written in that fading ink, all those years ago? My little scientist. Some inheritances are quiet. A key. A letter. A belief no one else could see. Some names are not spoken loudly. Until they write their own history.